Yes, and welcome to At America. We are the U.S. Embassy's American Center. First and foremost, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Genara Jusuf, or you can call me Ara, and I will be your MC for today's event. And for those of you new here, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission here is to provide a space for people to learn more about the United States through our events and also our programs. And today's event is titled Creative Content Protection in the Digital World, in which today we are going to learn about the importance of intellectual property rights in business, especially in the digital era. And before starting, I would like to welcome and also greet our audiences from two wonderful universities. The first we have from Bina Nusantara University. Hi, everyone. Yes, and next we also have from Universitas Pelita Harapan. Hi, everyone. Yes, thank you so much to our friends for coming, and I hope that you will have a great session today. And ladies and gentlemen, before starting our event, let us hear several opening remarks. And the first opening remarks will be delivered by the Minister Counselor for Public Diplomacy of the U.S. Embassy Jakarta. Please welcome Jason Rebels.
Selamat sore. Oh, microphone's not working. Selamat sore, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for joining us for this exciting program. I'd like to first welcome our special guest from the Ministry of Creative Economy, Ibu Desi Wurharti. Ibu, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Ibu, for the leadership your ministry has shown and for bringing everyone together. So we worked together with the ministry to create today's program. I also, before I say everything, I wanted to make sure I thanked all of our special guests today. And so I'd like to thank our panelists. Mehravari from the United States, thank you for joining us from the International Intellectual Property Alliance. Also, we have Pat Neil Elhiman from the Ministry of Creative Economy. And we have two content creators joining the panel, Pak Ardi Kusama and Ibu Ayunda Kusama from Punopals. Thank you all for joining us. And I'd like to thank Pak Satya for joining us as our moderator today. But most of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us and for being a part of today's discussion. You know, as young people, you're content creators, and so you're really driving the creative economy here in Indonesia. So thank you for being here. Today, what we want to talk about is how we can help take ideas and make them travel safely from the studio to the screen and from the storyboard to the marketplace. In a world where people can just upload and reach millions of people, intellectual property is more critical than ever, and it really matters to all of us as content creators. Because without intellectual property, it's the difference between whether creators can earn credit and compensation for their creations or whether they end up watching other people copy their creations and copy their work. Trademarks build brands. Copyrights turn scripts and rigs and soundtracks into licensable assets. And licensing takes a hit, takes local hits and brings them to the region and to the global stage, while creators get paid for that work. Increasingly, the shift to digital platforms means we're raising the stakes, because streaming and user-generated platforms expand the reach, but also they enable copy and repost behaviors. Effective protection means faster notice and takedowns, smarter content identification and watermarking, and clearer platform priorities that bring rights back to copyright holders and to honest users. And so really, as I was saying, IP protections affect all of us. It affects everybody from Microsoft, when they spend billions of dollars to create software, and even small companies like Javanese UMKM brand bringing new jamu to the market. By having a transparent and reliable system to protect intellectual property rights, it's essential for innovation and driving success in business here in Indonesia and around the world. But I also think it's important that we are candid about the challenges that we're facing. Piracy and infringement hit creators and small studios especially hard. So the answer is deterrent outcomes, consistent online-offline enforcement, and practical cooperation among governments, platforms, and rights holders. But the good news is cooperation can help, and that's where the United States and Indonesia is working together. We're training together, we're sharing best practices, we're exploring co-productions and licensing opportunities so we can bring Indonesian stories to global audiences with US know-how behind it. That's good for creators, it's good for audiences, and we get more authentic, diverse content that we can trust. So that's the spirit behind today's discussion. And so we invited one of the experts from the United States to join us. Mehravari is going to co-facilitate today's program. And we're going to have experts from academia, government, and industry really working together and thinking about how we can improve registration and enforcement and education while keeping markets open and innovative. And so we hope that drawing on everyone's experience in the room today, we can have an interesting conversation. So thank you all very much for joining us today. I really look forward to the conversation. Terima kasih banyak.
Yes, thank you so much, Pak Jason Rebels, for the insightful opening remarks. Next, we still have another opening remarks, ladies and gentlemen, and the next remark will be delivered by the Secretary of the Ministry of Creative Economy. Please welcome Ibu Desi Ruhati.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oh, Mr. Jason, here's more than 10,000 people, but I only heard it's 2 people answer me. My salam, my greetings. Why? Okay, please, everyone, speak loudly, ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, and a very warm greeting to Ministerial Counselor for Public Diplomacy, U.S. Embassy, Mr. Jason, and then Director of Policy and Legal Affairs, the International Intellectual Property Alliance, Mr. Pete Mehravari, sorry, and then the Deputy Minister for Digital, Creative and Technology, from the Ministry of Creative Economy, my colleagues, Pak Neil, and then Director for Intellectual Property Facilitation Development, Pak Fauzi, and also the Director of the New Technology, Pak Dandi, and then also the CEO and Creative Director from Punopals, Pak Ardi, and also the Chief Marketing Operational Officer, Punopal, Mbak Ayunda, and also our moderator, Pak Satya, and of course, all participants here today. Let me read the rhyme. Please cakepnya. Ke taman kota memetik bunga. Indah warnanya, harum mewangi. Hari ini kita berkumpul bersama untuk menguatkan ekosistem kreatif negeri. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly an honor and a great pleasure for us at the Ministry of Creative Economy to welcome all creative minds here today. This moment is more than just a gathering. It represents an important step in strengthening the collaboration between the United States and Indonesia, especially in building a stronger intellectual property ecosystem to support the growth of our creative industries. Yesterday, we held a workshop at our office. This morning, and then this afternoon, we gather at My America Jakarta. And this afternoon, and we are here again, continuing the dialogue. 3 different moments, one shared commitment to strengthen the intellectual property ecosystem for Indonesia's creative economy. I want to sincerely thank to the U.S. Embassy for your unwavering support. Your partnership has been instrumental in making this milestone possible. Today's discussion brings us to an important theme, creative content protection in the digital world. In this fast-changing digital era, protecting creative content is not only about law and policy. It's about protecting the dreams, the ideas, and the hard work of our creative talents. By sharing best practices from the United States and exchanging experiences among ourselves, we are not only learning but also building bridges that will empower our creative industry for years to come. Before I close, I wish for this event to be a fruitful and inspiring experience for all of you. May today spark new insight, new collaboration, and new energy to face the opportunities and challenges of the digital world with confidence. With that, I'm pleased to officially declare the talk show public discussion IP in the digital world is commenced. Burung merpati terbang ke awan. Hinggap sebentar di dahan jati. Mari kita bersama majukan ekonomi kreatif untuk Indonesia dan dunia ini. Sekali lagi terima kasih. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes, thank you so much Bu Desi Ruhati for the very insightful opening remarks. Terima kasih banyak Ibu Desi atas kata-kata sambutannya. Dan Bu Desi setelah ini dipersilahkan untuk melanjutkan ke agenda berikutnya. You may proceed to the next agenda. And ladies and gentlemen, to lead and also navigate our discussion for today, we are already joined by our wonderful moderator. So without further ado, let's welcome our moderator for today, Satya Pramesi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Ara, for your kind words. First of all, hello and good afternoon. My name is Satya Pramesi. I'll be your moderator for today's program. Welcome, of course, to today's discussion on creative content protection in the digital world. Of course, we're delighted to have with us distinguished speakers, not only from Indonesia, but also from the United States, who will share their expertise on intellectual property, creative industries, and and digital innovation. And so before we begin, let me invite up to the stage our first speaker, Mr. Pete C. Mehravari, the Director of Policy and Legal Affairs at the International Intellectual Property Alliance. Sir, you may join us. I'd also like to invite Ardianto, Indra, Kusuma, and Ayunda, Kusuma Wardani of Punopals, the creative brains behind this amazing organization. And finally, I'd like to invite Mr. Muhammad Neil El Himam, the Deputy for Digital Creativity and Technology at Indonesia's Ministry of Creative Economy. Welcome, sir. Great. As usual, we will be having a panel discussion later on during the show. But first, we will begin with a presentation from Mr. Pete C. Mehravari. Pete, you may begin.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stand up for this again. Hey guys, how's it going? Good. Good? All right, so I'm Pete. I've been doing intellectual property for about 20 years. I love it. And the reason why I love my job is every single day I get to talk to creators, inventors, entrepreneurs like you, and I get to protect all the amazing stuff you're creating. My dad was an engineer, and he would have these amazing inventions, and I just saw the passion in his face coming home saying, Pete, I invented this new thing for my work. I got a patent, and I just want to help other people like my dad create, invent, and make really cool products that go out into the public. So I've done inventions, I've done branding, I've stopped counterfeits, I've shut down piracy websites, but for the last year and a half, I have something even cooler. Who here plays video games? I do. Who here watches movies? TV shows? Listens to music? Who here reads books? I will admit I play more video games than read books, but my wife reads more books than me, so it counts. So we're okay. So my current job is I get to help protect the US creative industries, our movie industries, video game industries, book industries, music, film, TV. That's my day job. I get to go out and talk about how awesome creators are, how awesome content is, and then I get to go home and play video games. It's not a bad job. But one thing that is really important to me is to make sure that creators everywhere know their rights. So I've been in Indonesia for 2 days now. It's been amazing so far. Food has been incredible. But part of it has been meeting with Indonesian entrepreneurs and creators the last 2.5 days. hearing their stories, hearing their passions, and wanting to encourage them to create and protect their works. This morning, we met with a few creators, and one of them really stuck in my mind, which I'll kind of share about that today, and use that as my example. So it was an Indonesian video game developer who got to work on the Sega Genesis game. Who here has played Sega, but with the hedgehog? Sonic the Hedgehog, that's right. Sonic the Hedgehog, who's played that game? So he actually helped develop the music for that. I was like, wow, that is so cool. Not only are you doing the music, but you're also helping develop the code for it. There's the branding involved with the Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog. I was like, that's a lot of intellectual property there. So today, when I kind of go through my presentation, which is about making sure you know what your rights are, identifying what is the most important rights you have, this is the example I'm going to use from this morning, because I think it really talks about the creative industry, especially in the digital age. So, our goal today, ideas to assets. The reason this is my theme for this week is everyone has ideas, but taking your ideas, making it a legal piece of property that has protections. It protects you from having that right being stolen. It protects you from allowing that right to be transferred, to be sold, to license it, to create jobs based on those rights. So that's what we're going to do today in 11 minutes and 39 seconds. That sound good? All right. So, step one, you are a creator. And in this case, you are a video game creator. What is the most important part about your video game? Is it the actual game itself? Is it the brand? Maybe it's a brand where you've produced many video games. So for Sega, the Sega brand can be protected by what we call a trademark. That means that the Sega company can use that Sega brand in all over the company, in many video games. Is that important? To be able to protect that brand Sega? Yes, because you can say, if it's a Sega game, you know it's going to be awesome. What about the hedgehog? The design of the hedgehog, the branding of the hedgehog, the name Sonic the Hedgehog. It's an important brand that you want to protect. And so when I'm talking with creators, I ask them the question, what makes your creativity, your product, your brand the most important? What is your competitive advantage that separates you from your customers? Your competitors. And that's where I kind of want to talk about this. And so today I'm going to teach you 3 steps for you to identify what is the most important thing you're creating, how to prioritize it, and how to protect it. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's say that you are Sega, and you're making the video game Sonic the Hedgehog. How do you know what is the most important thing that you are creating to protect it? Is it the most advanced computer game or video game out there? Maybe. Is it the high quality of graphics? Is it even an awesome customer base? Maybe every single Sega game, the people that are working for the game are the best. They hire the best, brightest people. Maybe Sega has a way to make things cheaper. So as a consumer, it's cheaper buying a Sega game versus something else. So part of what I ask creators and businesses to do when they first come to me and say, hey, Pete, we have this great business idea. What do we protect first? What are our rights? And so I ask them that question. Of everything you're building, everything you're creating, what separates you, again, from your competition? So that's first step. Who can help do that? Oftentimes when I see creators, innovators, they might not actually know why people are buying their products. So if you're creating a really amazing animation, for example, or comic book, which we'll hear about a little bit later, how do you know what about it makes it special? Your consumers, your friends. Oftentimes an outside party will be like, what you've been writing what you've been filming, it's really cool because of this. You do it just because you love doing it, but someone else might have a better perspective of actually it's marketable because it attracts these types of customers. So having the outside perspective can be really important. So identifying what about your business is important. Once you have that, again, you have these ideas, you have this content, you have this ideas of how you're gonna make your business amazing, you gotta take it from your brain and make it into a legal asset. How do you do that? Well, it's called intellectual property rights, which is why we're here today. It's taking these concepts of intellectual property, be it a creation, an invention, a brand, secret information, using the legal system to get rights, legal rights, just like you would for a piece of property, or when you buy a car, or buy a pair of tennis shoes. You're taking something and you're making it your own using property rights. Same thing we're doing with intellectual property. We're taking these ideas, these competitive advantages, what makes Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog, important, and we protect it. We give it rights so people can't steal it. And you can use it, you can monetize it, you can make it the basis for a company with lots of jobs, and you protect those jobs because you have property rights in those concepts. So taking the ideas, make it into assets, that makes your company safe. So how do we do that? Again, 3 steps. First step, you look at your company, look at your creations, and you say, what is every single thing that I've created as part of this company, or as part of this creation? So for Sega, let's go back to that as our example. Step 1, identify every single piece of intellectual property that's part of what you're doing. Is it the brand Sega? Is it the trademark of Sonic the Hedgehog? Is it the design of Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of what it looks like? The other creatures in the Sonic the Hedgehog game. Tails, for example. I remembered one more character, at least. Is it the code, the computer code that runs the systems? Is it the Sega hardware that allows the game to work? Is it the instruction manual that you paid someone a lot of money to write for the game? Each of these things is a type of intellectual property that can be made into an asset. You can take that word, Sonic the Hedgehog, get a trademark for it. The word Sega, trademark for it. The computer code, a copyright. The hardware for the Sega machine, it's an invention. You can get a patent. Each of these different parts of that one company, that one game, have many different features and ways to protect it. That way, you have many ways to protect all the investments you put into that business you're making, into that content you're creating. So first step, identify. Why is identifying every single piece important? Because step 2 is prioritizing. What's the most important parts? What's the most important competitive advantage you have? You can't prioritize what you don't know. So identifying every single piece of intellectual property is very important. Step 2, as just mentioned, prioritize. What does this mean? Look at each of the values of those intellectual property pieces you have. So for the Sega Sonic the Hedgehog game, what's the most important components of that company? Think about if they lose one piece of their intellectual property, how's it going to affect the rest of the business? Let's say, for example, one of the pieces of intellectual property is the code or software for one of the latest Sonic the Hedgehog games. Let's say you forget to protect it, someone else comes in, they steal it. All right, fine. You have to make a new game, protect it. That sucks. You've lost 2-3 years of revenue, maybe. What if you forget to protect Sonic the Hedgehog? someone else comes in, steals Sonic the Hedgehog because you forgot to protect that trademark or that character. You know what, that also sucks. You've just lost a whole type of game and sort of genre. But what happens if you forgot to protect Sega as the trademark? How many different other brands, how much other content, how many other devices are under that one trademark of Sega? A lot more. So if you lose that trademark, a lot of other pieces are affected. Think about if Sega loses their trademark. How many employees does Sega have? A lot. By losing that brand, someone else takes it and stops the original Sega from using their brand. Think about all the jobs that might be lost. Not just the jobs for one Sonic the Hedgehog game, not just the jobs from all the Sonic the Hedgehog sort of games or content, but all of Sega's both content, devices, branding, gone overnight because they've not protected their IP. So in that case, we would say that the Sega brand is the #1 priority, because if they lose it, bad things can happen. So when I'm talking to companies, creators, I ask them the question, what's the one piece of content, branding, innovation you're creating, and if you lose that, it's going to be hard to recover. That's your priority. That's what you wanted to protect the most. And that goes to step 2. Again, step 1, identify. Step 2, prioritize. Step 3, we protect. In this case is where you kind of don't have to do too much. You know what's important. You've identified all the types of intellectual property. At this point, you go to intellectual property nerds like myself, where my job is to know the law, how to protect it in many different ways. Your job is to be a business person, a creator, and create, and innovate, and build your company. Step 3, the protection, come to the IP experts. Let them be the ones kind of take over and find the best ways to protect your most important parts of IP. So again, intellectual property capture, this process, this 3-step process works for any type of company, any size, any area, be it animation, video games, music, innovations, entrepreneurship, it works for all of them. Step 1, identify. Step 2, prioritize. Step 3, protect. Once you do that, you're done. I put this last slide here, my last 20 seconds, because this is what you can do. You can go home today. You can list out every single piece of intellectual property you're creating, every single competitive advantage that makes you better than your competition. You list which one's the most important, which one's the least important, and then you find an expert to help protect it. That's it. Identify, prioritize, protect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete. Before we continue, I'd like to ask the students, what courses do you guys do? Or do you guys do all different courses? Art, visual design. Okay. All very relevant information there then. Perfect. Pete, thank you very much for your presentation. Next, we have the brains behind Punopals, Mr. Ardianto, Indra, Kusuma, and Miss Ayunda Kusuma Wardani, to talk about their Indonesian intellectual property brand inspired by Punakawan wayang characters and adapted into a global-friendly style. We talked about this earlier. I'm really excited to see what you have in store for us as well as the audience. Let's give everybody a round of applause, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, before we start, I just like to say hello, everyone. Everybody doing? Good. All good? Okay, I see B News. I see UPH. Okay. Okay, let's begin. Okay, a bit about Punopals. So the thing that I will be presenting more is about, I guess, as an IP owner and a creative content creator, what is the potential of an IP in this base? So maybe we can share my experience, which is very little. I am sorry, but we're not a big IP like maybe Mickey Mouse or SpongeBob or maybe Pokemon. But we're starting, and it's been 1 year and 8 months. So we will share our experience in that time span in Indonesia. So a little bit about myself. Uh, I am actually a Binusian also. I am currently. Hello guys. Maybe you seen me in Alam Sutra. I don't know if anyone from Alam Sutra, Binus. Okay, hello guys. Yeah, I am currently undergoing my bachelor's or S1 in business creation. But previously, I was doing my WSQ diploma program in 3D Sense Singapore in animation, visual effects, and game art. So now currently I am the self-proclaimed CEO of Pamortion. Well, the writing say Punopals, but it's actually Pamortion because Pamortion is the studio. Punopals is the IP. So I say I'm a creative preneur. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello. First of all, I want to thank you all that.
Wait, this is my sister.
Yeah,
My sister.
Yeah, we have the same last name because we are actually brother and sister. So I'm Ayunda, and I want to thank you for the U.S. Embassy and as well as aircraft that
Yes.
for us to be as speakers today. And so I am actually the Chief Marketing and Operating Officer at Studio Promotion. Basically, I studied graphic communication design. In Indonesia, we call it DKV. I got it from a diploma in Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts, as well as my bachelor from Loughborough University. Before Studio Promotion and before Punopals, I actually worked in branding, marketing, as well as creative directions at Kopi Kenangan, Traveloka, Dekoruma, Greatmind.id, as well as Geometry Media. And currently, I'm in charge of the branding, marketing, production, as well as the operations at Punopals. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we explained. So Promotion is the creative studio, and then our IP is Punopals. So let's start with Punopals. Okay, Punopals, you may be recognize the art style. Yes, it's a rubber hose style. It is the art style that is famous in the 1930s, 40s, maybe from Mickey Mouse, Felix the Cat, Steamboat Willie, but also recently there's Cuphead or the new video game Ace Craft. They use also rubber hose style. And then Punokawan. Does anybody know what is Punokawan? Oh my God, okay. Okay, some people know Punokawan, good, okay. So yes, maybe Gen Z, Gen Alpha, you guys maybe forget what is Punokawan, but it's a Japanese wayang character that is originally from Indonesia, and they are a more comedic characters in wayang, but also very philosophical, deep characters also. And there's the character Semar Gareng Petruk Bagong. So we combine those two aspects to make Punopals, which has a cultural and recognizable and also appealing because the art style have proven to be globally appealing art style. So in Punopals, we changed the name from Semar Gareng Petruk into a more shorter version of it, Mareng Truk Gong. Also, the colors. If you see the original wayang character, is very dark and very not colorful, which is usually not the way if you want to make a more appealing cartoon character. So in Punopals, we add colors. Mar is green, Reng is purple, Truk is blue, and Gong is red. That is the simplified explanation of Punopals. And also the name. The name Punopals come from the word Punakawan, which is teman setia, but we change it to Punopals. Yeah. So I guess Mr. Peter already explained what is IP, but generally IP is a creative or intellectual thought that we have that have economic value. So in Indonesia, there's categories: copyright, trademark, patent, industrial design, and trade secrets. And for Indonesia, for Punopals, we have the copyright of each characters. So we have 4 characters, so we have daftar 4 characters and our trademarks. So this is a bit about what is the industry of a character-based IP. I think everybody knows all these IPs is very big, all the American and Japanese IPs. And this is a bit about the whole, what is the potential of IPs in the world. And as you can see, it's very big. Pokemon, this data is in 2023, 2022, and Pokemon currently is the highest grossing media franchise, but you can see a lot of your known IPs also. And as a IP creator, this is also opened my eyes as the potential of IP, because it's not just, for example, Pokemon. I think we know Pokemon from the video games. Maybe we play the old Pokemon X and Y, Black and White, or maybe you know Pokemon from Pokemon Go or the trading card. But they are not one aspect. They have also anime. They have their merchandise, their plushies. They have their theme parks. They have a whole ecosystem of IP based on the character of Pokemon, which is their IP. So that's the value of their IP.
Okay, so we're also going to talk about why IP protection matters, because from our experience, if we want to collaborate with other companies or other brands, it's important for us to protect ourselves first for like the content, the storyline, as well as the characters and the brand itself. So the other brand and the other companies also can trust us better to commercialize our IP. And so how Punopals safeguards our IP is we registered our brand, Punopals, for trademarks and as well as our characters for the copyright. And we also have IP licensing clause on our contracts if we want to collaborate with other brands. Yeah. And this is like a simple infographic of how you guys can register your copyright online is at hakcipta.djpi.go.id, and the registration fee for copyright in Indonesia is about 200,000 per application. So we actually registered our 4 characters separately. Yeah, and next one, this is like the sample of the copyright certificate. So currently we actually have 4 of these copyright certificates for Mar, Reng, Truk, and Gong. Yeah. And the next one.
Oh yeah, and it's for Hak Cipta is in Indonesia at least is instant. It's almost just one day and immediately you get the certificate because it's digital.
And the next one is if you want to take your IP to commercialize it, you need to register for trademark as well. You can register it at merek.djpi.go.id. And for trademark, there's actually several classes, and we also need to choose which class that we actually want to register in. This is actually a class that we choose. There's 4. There's 16 for printed publications, books, comics, 25 for apparels, 28 for art toys and card games, and 9 is for animation. Why we choose animation as well? Because we actually currently developing our pilot animation. Hopefully next year we can finish it. We starting it with our theme song as well as like the opening credits to introduce our characters as well as the main storyline of Punopals.
Yeah, in the future, because we're going to develop a theme song with that also we have to make the IP register the Hak Cipta for the music also that we have not done yet. So this is the example, some of our collaboration and licensing that we have done in our short time. So we have collaborated with fellow artists, illustrators. We have collaborated with brands, clothing brands. We have collaborated with government institution. We also collaborated with a printing company. This is some of our merchandise. You can look at our Instagram, Punopals. This is also some of our consignments and strategy for introducing it globally. Our experiences, we have total 25 events and experience we have joined. This is some of the content. You can look our Instagram. We have animatic shorts and comic strips and our upcoming pilot animation. This is some of the challenges that we face. In the future, there might be piracy and online copying. There's also the challenges of audience growth and monetization and IP awareness and education. So yeah, that's all for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ardi and Ayunda. I'm sure many of you have questions, but we will be sure to answer some of those questions later on during the show. For now, we are going to have our final speaker, Mr. Muhammadil El Himam, the Deputy for Digital Creativity and Technology at Indonesia's Ministry of Creative Economy, to highlight Indonesia's perspective on building strong IP frameworks to support creators. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Satya. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I already asked about the Venusian, where they're from, right? Most of you are from graphic designer or graphic designer? What about UPH? All. Law. See? So that's your, you're also your stakeholders, I think. Thank you so much for coming here, and this is actually a perfect situation. I'm not going to rely on my slides, but I'm just gonna talk just to make sure that it's going to be linked with you guys. So do you know that, for example, I can consider you guys are creators, right? Graphic designers. Do you know that you already have a law on creative economy? I'm asking the law students, do you know that we already have a law in creative economy? So we are one of the small number of nations that has a law just on the creative economy. So in our law number 24, 2019, in that law, we define our creative economy as the manifestation, embodiment of added value coming from intellectual property produced by human creativity based on three things: cultural heritage, science, and or technology. I guess from, you already probably also know that Indonesia has several laws on the IP itself, right? Trademark law, patent, industrial design, trade secret, and so on. So, but those laws are mostly focused on the filing as well as protection of the IP. But in the creative economy law, focus on the commercialization of the IP itself. For example, I guess for the graphic designer, you know about our visual identity for the HUT RI, logo HUT RI. Yes, right. We have been doing it for at least 10 years, since Backcraft era, and now the 80th. It was designed by your fellows coming from the association, the Designer Graphic Association. And what happened is that we are trying to teach not just the government itself, but also the masses, the value of this IP, the design itself, right? With the small amount of the budget from our side, from the government, the design become an IP owned by the government, and then we open it toward our small and medium enterprise to use, so that they can create banners, they can create backdrops, they can create T-shirt or merch regarding the celebration of the Independence Day as well. So that's one of the contribution of this creative economy. So, and so far we have around 17 subsector creative economy, but I think we are going to add more based on cultural, such as culinary, craft, fashion, arts, performing arts, and then there's based on design, graphic design, product design, architectures, also based on media, film, animation video, and then music, television and radio, music, publishing, photography, advertisement, and also the digital and technology creativity, games, application, digital content. This is a new one, digital content, new tech, new digital technology, as well as ICT services, right? So that's currently what we have right now. Now, we believe that because of that law as well, and then because of what's happening right now, the intellectual property can become, if it's done right, it can become new engine of growth. So, but the thing is, we need to separate between imagination and creativity. So I'm going to quote Sir Ken Robinson. Simple definition: creativity is imagination or idea in action. So as long as it's in your head, it's not, we cannot call it as a creativity. But once you put it in writing, put it in a painting or whatever, then it becomes creativity. And then once you have that, if it's an original work coming from your idea, you need to protect it, and then you can commercialize it, right? So I'm just going to also to talk about that the contribution of our creative economy in the past 10 years. So in terms of workforce, worker that relies on the creative economy sectors, it grew by around almost 90% in the last 10 years. No, actually, yes, 10 years, right? Right now we have around last year, about 27 million workers that relies on the creative economy sectors. And as well as for the value added to the GDP, it increased almost 120% from 700 trillion rupiah to more than 1,500 trillion rupiah, and as well as the export itself, so from 15 billion to 25 billion in 2024. And for the next 5 years, we are given KPI by the Bappenas to put the growth of the creative economy to become around 7 to 8% for the GDP itself. And we also need to look at the growth of the global intellectual property growth as well, right? So we are probably lag behind, and one of the problem that we have is actually the awareness of, especially in the creator itself, awareness of the need to protect, to register to register your IPs, and then once it is registered, it can be protected, and then you can monetize it. Then we can become like US, for example, like Pete already mentioned before. And this is what happened in Indonesia. We have the growth for the intellectual property in Indonesia in the last 9 years. Most of copyright is actually the easiest one, right? Punopals already mentioned about it. And the last 10 years, almost 10 years, the copyright grew significantly from only 7.4% to 52.6%. Trademarks is still also the next easiest to have. Is shrinking, but it still have a bigger chunk of the number of registered intellectual property application. Now, when we talk about the coming era of AI, we just have this yesterday. I think we have this summit, AI Summit, Indonesian AI Summit, and then we are part of it. There are, we can say there's like this two double-edged sword, right? Sword in terms of that you can use it for the benefit of our creativity, or becoming harmful for the creative sector as well. So now we need to put it that it's like, I have to quote Thanos, Pete, AI is inevitable. It's going to be there, whether you like it or not. What you need to do is we actually need to harness the power of AI in order to improve the quality as well as the quantity of our product, our productivity. The challenge, of course, there is a lot of challenges in terms of AI because nowadays you can easily make deepfakes. There is a lot of also potential of infringement of the copyright, even for the training data, right? AI as well generative AI, you need training data, and it actually comes from someone's IPs. We are trying to go towards a more inclusive AI policy. We are not going to create a law yet, but we are trying to develop ethical codes, ethical conduct for more human-centered AI. It has to be transparent as well as traceability, fair compensation, as well as for the data governance and blockchain for the licensing itself. This is like something that probably that we need, and global harmonization of our regulation with the international regulation. And the last one, I think, I'm just going to skip this. I just want to say that the implication for Indonesia for our policy is we need to have a clear legal definition for this and develop database of our copyright or intellectual property, and we need to draft of, like I said, the code of conduct for AI implementation, transparency in data set collection. We need to do market risk assessment, as well as the last one is we need to be we have to have a licensing scheme that are efficient as well as fair for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pat Neil. Before I continue, I would like to ask our students in the audience, have you ever pirated a media before? Ooh, there's a lawyer here, guys. Horrible.
I don't believe you at all. But that's okay.
All right. Okay. So let's move on to the to our panel session for now. I'd like to jump off straight from your last point, Pat Neil, and I'd like to involve Pete into this as well. You mentioned about how artificial intelligence and Gen AI in particular for videos, for pictures, and even for copy is practically a genie that's already been released out of the bottle, if you will. What can Indonesia and other governments do to adapt intellectual property laws to Gen AI, particularly given the level of deftness, if you will, to approaching Gen AI? Because it's obviously a lot of the sourcing and a lot of its data sets that determine its generation, its generation is properties from the internet that are actually already protected by IP laws.
So I think this is one of the hottest topics right now in not just copyrights, but in IP in general. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really cool time to be here because things are changing at a very fast pace. I think when it comes to the training data that you mentioned, and if that data, those creative works, are protected by copyrights, you know what? They're protected by copyright, and they're made by creators. And those creators invested a lot of time making those creative works, be it songs, books, TV, video games, and having that training data be used without compensation kind of goes against the idea of the copyright and protection part. So I think that, to me, is a fundamental part of making sure that if we're having a creative economy, make sure the creators get compensated if their work is being used. And right now in the US, we're really tracking a lot of very interesting cases when it comes to creators suing AI companies for their work. So there was a big case a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, with book publishers who just got an incredible settlement of over 1.5 billion US dollars, still being contested a bit, but it showed the value of the creative works that were stolen, essentially, to train the AI data. But at the same time, I use AI. For me, it helps kind of jumpstart my creativity. It kind of gets past that first sort of block in my head and gets me to a place where, okay, I have the basic for what I want. Now I can be even more creative without having to kind of start from scratch. So I think it does play a really important tool in creativity. But in order for that tool to be effective and to continue to compensate creators and make them want to keep creating, there has to be discussions involved with compensating artists, compensating creators for the work if that work is being used to train the systems.
Okay. Paniel, would you like to share your perspective? Yes.
In terms of AI, like I said, this is first of all, I mean, like right now we need to understand that a lot of Indonesian right now doesn't really understand about the IP, the value of IP itself, right, and as well as how to protect them, of course. Now with the AI, it's coming in and it make it easy for, especially right now in generative AI, make it easy for like for someone who doesn't have any background or anything, to copy someone else's product or creation. Then we need to have something like, we are not going to go to the hard law, but rather than we need to go to have like an ethical conduct of using the AI, especially in our sector in creative economy. Now, I agree with Pete in terms of, like you need to compensate whoever, because the training data, I mean, like right now, AI is basically can only copies, right, styles. They can really come up with their own, right now, their own styles, right? If you say several months ago or last year, I remember with the Ghibli type of, not animation, but like, like illustration,
profile
right?
pictures and stuff like that, right?
They use, of course, they use the Ghibli data, right? As well as what else? The other one. So we need to have a kind of right now for I can say only like a ethical conduct, a code of ethics for using this. So yeah, we are going to go through that way.
Okay,
rather.
great. Thank you very much. Moving on to Ardi and Ayunda, but still kind of talking about this entire thing from an AI perspective. How would you say Gen AI has affected your work recently? Has it been a challenge? Has it been helpful? And how do you hope that a regulation surrounding it can protect your business in the future?
Okay, thank you. I think obviously AI is inevitable. It's going to be there, and we cannot avoid it. But I think as an artist myself or a creative person, AI has been a good and a bad thing, because the good thing, it helps us create works faster. And I think AI should be used as an ideation. It's a good ideation. It's good to make references. But when we use AI and then the final work, the work that we're gonna put out is 100% AI, I think that's where it's an issue.
Right.
And for example, if you're talking about IP protection, I believe in the US, if your work is 100% AI, is considered public domain. I think that's why a lot of AI-based characters like Tung 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 Sahur and the Anomaly Friends, I think it should be public domain. It shouldn't be protected because it's 100% AI, unless they prove that they have AI, but they also do another process that is human. I think that is fine. For example, I think the good way to use it is you got an idea, but I don't know what is it yet. You use AI to help to make the picture of it, but then you have to develop it further through human ways. I think that's what I think about AI. But it's definitely a helpful tool, but it also can be a harmful or negative thing in the creative industry.
Anything you'd like to add?
I agree with Ardi as well. So I think AI is inevitable, and we need to adapt to it. And I feel like productivity-wise, AI help a lot in the creative industry, especially us or me. Actually, is very good for ideation, and we can also like visualize our idea first before we actually try to create it ourselves. And the downside that I already mentioned before, if it's like 100% AI, like visual or like artwork, then it becomes something that is not good for commercialization, because it's like have to be a public domain, because it's not generated from original work. It's actually from other works that the AI trained for. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'd like to bring the conversation a little bit to the law side of things now so that our UPH students don't fall asleep. Question for you, Pete. Obviously, you know, the United States has copyright laws that's extend for, I think you mentioned, beyond over 100 years now? Over 100 years? What would you say are the best practices from, you know, oh, here we go. What would you say are the best practices from American law that Indonesia can adopt to strengthen licensing and copyright protections for creators and studios like Ayunda and Ardi here, particularly in the character-based IP business, to ensure that their creative work is safeguarded?
I mean, I think there's a few aspects, and I think we can be very simple about it. Sure. I think number one, transparency. The laws need to be transparent. The process to get protections is transparent. The process to enforce your rights is transparent. That's all good, but if it's transparent, it also needs to be accessible. It needs to be accessible to artists and creators, not just to nerdy legal people like me. Mm-hmm. It needs to be an easier way to do that. I think the last part, it needs to be enforceable. If you get a right in Indonesia, you create a copyright, there needs to be a way to enforce that right in a way that is effective, and so you can take down that pirated content quickly. I think in the US, we try to make sure that our laws are public, our laws are open. If there's a judgment, those judgments are published. You know what the penalties are to doing copyright piracy. You know how to take action, and you can take action, and that action is meaningful. I think with those kind of key parts, any great framework can be successful because creators know if they invest in their creations, they're protected.
Okay. Next to Ardi and Ayunda, I'm curious about the experiences that you guys have had to go through, you know, applying for your work to be trademarked, correct? Trademark. Yeah. And, you know, tell us about some of the biggest challenges in that process, and perhaps some tips that you can provide to our university students here in case they would like to create a trademark of their own in the future.
Okay, I will share my experience with the hak cipta or the copyright. Right. Then my sister will explain the trademark. For hak cipta, for me, I think it's the easiest process, and it's very fast, very easy. I think because for me, I have zero knowledge law on IP at all, but I just, okay, I wanna register this. How? I look on YouTube, I look at the website, okay, this is how you do it. I just follow the rules, follow what it says want me to do. Ada bikin surat pernyataan, they want me to have a pernyataan letter. So I have to print it, and then I buy materai. What is materai in English? I don't know. Materai stamp, yeah. And then I stamp it, I sign, I scan it, I put it back on the website, and then I just give a description. The process is easy and instant. Immediately, like the next couple of hours, I already get the certificate. So the process for hak cipta is easy.
Yeah. Okay, for trademark, it's a bit longer process, quite long actually, for about few months. The first time I accessed the websites is about in the end of 2023, and I try to get to know what kind of data they will need for us to submit. So from that website, then I know that we actually, there is two trademarks registration fee for the general one, and the second one is for the UMKM. So there's like two fees that we can actually apply for. Then I try to apply for the lower price one, which is the UMKM price, which is the 500,000 per class. But to be eligible to apply for that fee registration, then we actually need to go to our mayor office at Depok, because our company is registered at Depok. That's why we have to have apply a letter of recommendation from the mayor of Depok to state that we are their UMKM, their UMKM, and they are recommended for us to register our trademark. And from there, then we became eligible to apply for the UMK fee. And after that, there is several other, like for NIB. NIB is like a business a license. I need to apply that online as well. It's quite easy for the NIB, but for the mayor office recommendations it's not that hard, but it just takes times, a long time, because then I need to go to the mayor office 3 times, and sometimes the officer is not there. That's why then I need to come back again to apply. For the 3rd time, then it's a charm. Then I can get the letter. Then after that is quite easy to submit the application online. We just need to fill out a lot of details from the website. And then I also studied from YouTube on how to apply a trademark. And I also find out on what code class that we actually need to apply, because there's a lot of class, and we need to choose which one is actually more relevant to us, because every class we need to pay 500,000 rupiah. And that's why then we finally registered for class. And after that, we just submit the whole data, and from there we actually wait. We can see also the process on how the trademark is being processed. So there's like a notification from the website. We can already search our trademark now, currently in the state of TM and didaftar. So it's actually not in the super final stage yet. It's before the final stage. Yeah. So it's still TM. I think if it's already registered, it's become R. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to you, Pak Neil, what do you see personally as the Deputy for Digital Creativity and Technology at the Ministry of Creative Economy as the most urgent reform needed in Indonesia's IP enforcement to support local creators like Ayunda and Ardi?
Okay, like our side, we are our focus is more to commercializations of IP itself, right? Okay. Because by law we have to do that. But in terms of protection, in terms of our registration, I have to say that it's like the DGIP responsibility, right? But what we can do is if this is also hearing from Ayunda, from Ayunda in terms of processing. This is actually, we can benefit it from the AI itself, right? So if you want to use it for good, then if AI is the one who's checking the trademark to check all the you know, like probably similar, even the classes and everything, then it helps them to register for faster and then can monetize it faster. So that's probably what we can do. We can collaborate with the Ministry of Law, DGIP to do that. And actually we have our Director of New Tech, Pak Dandi, and we, I think this is something that come out from this event. So good questions and good idea.
Okay, you can add if you like.
Yeah, just something to add. I mean, I think there's a really exciting time right now in Indonesia where you have all these creators creating and making these new businesses, but you lost students over there. Hey, lost students. you have so much work coming towards you if you want to work in the copyright sector. You have an entire creative industry being made. They need your help protecting their brands, their trademarks, their creative content, but they can't do it without you. And so if Indonesia's here trying to create this major creative economy, the first Ministry of Creative Industry in ASEAN, there's gonna be a lot of work for you guys who want to do trademarks, copyrights, entrepreneurship stuff. It's a really fun place to do business. I'm doing it for 20 years. It's awesome. To me, it's the best type of law in intellectual property. You have all these creators here, they're gonna need you. All across Indonesia, they're gonna need you. One of the biggest challenges I've seen around the world when it comes to countries that want creative industries, innovators, they don't have as many attorneys sitting right here that could be interested in being that sort of need to succeed and make that whole process better. So please work with the creators. And again, you'll have a lot of business, just FYI.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, there's going to be a networking session after this event. I'm being serious, by the way, so be sure to trade numbers between the two universities. I hope you guys won't have like a rivalry with each other, do you? No, okay, that's good. All right. We're just about 10 seconds before the end of the discussion, so I'll just jump straight into the Q&A session. Does anybody have any questions from the audience that they'd like to ask? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Zuhra from Binus, and my questions are for Kak Ardi and Kak Ayunda. We once sold at the same event on campus, by the way, and I don't know why, maybe it's just a coincidence, but every time I go to an art market in Jakarta, I always saw Punopals booth, and me and my friends are wondering, aren't you guys tired, like always selling? But I respect you guys for that. And then my question is, what makes you feel motivated and disciplined to build your IP? And maybe if you want to share to us, what's inspired you to make your IP, the Punopals? And out of all Indonesian cultures, why you choose Punokawan? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we met a lot of times ya, udah beberapa bazar. So why a lot of bazar? Because we're still new, so we have to hustle, right? We have to let our name known. And for us, the strategy, I think offline events have been quite effective for us because we can meet people like you and other people face to face, and we can tell our story, our IP, our characters langsung, directly. And we also can show our merchandise and our products, and they can see it, they can try it on immediately. So that's why we have joined a lot of bazaar. Actually, next month, October, we have four total bazaar. Jakarta Doodle Fest,
Back to back.
Arcane Alley, Indonesia Comic Con, the local market, and maybe many more. So that is just the strategy that we are doing, one of the strategies that we are doing. And what make me want to do IP and why Punopals is my passion, because one of the things that I wanted is to have Indonesia to have like an iconic IP, because you know, obviously America and Japanese have a lot of famous IP, but in ASEAN, for example, you know, our neighbor Malaysia have Upin Ipin, Bobo Boy, many others, but Indonesia we have, but it's not as ngebumi atau as grounded or people, everyone look it up to, you know. Recently there's Jumbo, which is very successful, and I think the creative industry, animation industry is very proud to have Jumbo as the largest, the most viewed Indonesian movie of all time. But let's keep it going, you know. I think there's a momentum here, and I think animation industry, IP industry, character-based IP need to be moving in Indonesia. And why Punokawan? Well, the first reason is generally because of design. The design of Punokawan, if you look at the characters, have a very similar look to the rubber hose art style. If you look at Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse, or the old Felix the Cat, or Animaniacs, the old more classical cartoon, it looks familiar. That's the first reason. The second reason is because I myself also Javanese, so every time I went to my kampung in Jogja, my grandparents have a wayang of Semar, and I always look at that character. Who is this character? And then my grandpa tell me the story of Punokawan, but Punokawan itself is a very important and I think cool part of our Indonesian culture because it's not just Javanese. There's a lot of Punokawan version in other region. So in Sundanese, there's also Punokawan, their version. There is Cepot, there is Dualeh, and then in Bali, there's also their version of Punokawan. But generally, all Punokawan version is original in Nusantara, Indonesia. So I think it's very cool to have that aspect in the IP. So that's a little bit about it.
Okay, and about the strategy, why we join a lot of bazaar. Yeah, we are tired, but I mean because we are new, we want to actually get in touch with our customer directly because it's been very insightful, and we can talk to them directly, and they can give feedbacks as well as like we can also meet a lot of international exposures such as expats as well as tourists from the events like the local market. There's actually a lot of expats and tourists as well, and we're also happy that because we have consignment at TMEE. Actually, one of the tourists from Japan recognized us from TMEE, and they meet us again at the local market, and they said, "Oh, I think I saw this at TMEE." So that's why I think offline exposures is also very great, beside the online. Yeah.
And a lot of the opportunities that we have and we have made is all made because we joined a bunch of bazaar and somehow the right people found us and they like the idea and we continue.
Before we move on to the next question, I would like to ask you guys specifically, how did ethnically Javanese people react to your work, Punakawan?
So we have joined our bazaar and there's a lot of people that look our Punopals, and one of the first things is that they're happy because Punokawan can be revisited in a more modern and much more approachable style. You know, we're not exactly following the pakem, the traditional banget gitu, but we still want to introduce this traditional character in a way that Gen Z, Gen Alpha can understand. And I think through the art style Rubber Hose, which is a very globally appealing art style because it's, if you don't know Punokawan, at least from the art style, you can see like, oh, this is interesting.
I've just realized in your photos there you actually have the photos, the characters, on your shoulders. That's actually adorable.
That's Reng, my shoulder, and my sister there's Mar. Reng is Gareng, and Mar is Semar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then surprisingly, a lot of children like 5 years old, toddlers. Some of them still know wayang. Even there's one of our regular customers. He's a little kid, but he knows more wayang than I do.
Wow.
So and he even recognized the character Petruk, even though we already changed the art style, right? He still, is that Truk? Is that Mar gitu? Apa Semar gitu? So I think it's generally positive. See.
That's good. Okay, that's fantastic. Any other questions from? Ooh, that's a lot of hands. Oh dear. Tell you what, let's. Can somebody choose for me? I'm scared. Okay, you, ma'am, in the center. A lot of hands up. We got 20 minutes, so we've plenty of time for other questions as well. Don't worry.
Okay, firstly, I would like to say thank you to the speakers for the materials that are very relatable with IP issues that are ongoing within the country right now. My name is Celine, and I'm a law student from UPH. Mr. Pete, you talked about the importance of transparency and law enforcement within IP regulations against piracy and other copyright cases in the States. But in Indonesia, the implementation on IP regulations has its own set of challenges that growing creators like Punopals are facing day by day. With the various copyright cases currently occurring in Indonesia, how can we, as future law enforcement officials, ensure that Indonesian IP law is properly implemented to furthermore support Indonesian creators to feel more confident in releasing new innovations and creations, knowing that they are well protected by Indonesia's IP law? Thank you.
Great question. Yeah, definitely. So as part of my visit, the last 2 days, we actually just met with DGIP, Customs, Police, about an hour and a half ago, and we asked them those questions. We asked them questions of how can we improve the IP enforcement, the anti-piracy efforts here in Indonesia. They had some good solutions, some answers, but it really is going to take the next generation that understands the value of online piracy. Oftentimes when we see enforcement agencies, they've been around for a long time. They're used to physical goods, counterfeit goods, but online digital piracy, it takes a different mindset. It takes skills that you know how to quickly look through the internet, look on online platforms. You know that piracy operations, they're funding organized crime. They're funding bad things. They're putting viruses, there's cybersecurity issues when you download that piracy stuff. It's people that know the value of that online content, but also people that know the harm it can cause. So it's more about you guys getting into those systems and changing it from the ground up because you know why it's important. And so I think it's both a combination of the laws, which I will admit, the Indonesian government has admitted that there are flaws, it needs to be faster, but it needs to be people that know how the digital age works, and that's you guys. So I'm excited that you're gonna be excited about being in law enforcement and take that as a priority. Be the champion for the Indonesian online creators and take down that pirated content. Thank you.
Can I? Can, I need to add to respond to that questions. Here with me also there is the director, Pak Fauzi is the director for IP facilitation. He is coming from DGIP actually 10 years ago when there is this agency, Indonesian Agency for Creative Economy. So at one point what we do is actually about 9 years ago we create a task force, joint task force between Bekraf at that time with Ministry of Law, DGIP, and then with the police, and then especially for the online, because we have a lot of, I don't know if you guys remember Layar Kaca 21, do you know? Yeah, you remember that, right? Lebah Ganteng. See, Pete, because there's like this like online piracy site for watching movie online, right? And there is this because a lot of us doesn't really understand English. So what happened is there is this one particular creator that subtitle the creator subtitle, and his name is Lebah. I don't know whether he or she, but it's Lebah Ganteng. But the thing is, continuing what I'm saying is that it actually worked. You know, like this joint task force is actually work. We got the report. The Bekraf at the time received the report even from the from MPAA and so on, including from our producer ourselves. And then what we do is we work it together with this in joint task force. And then at the end of the day, when Kominfo at that time, Kominfo receive all this justification from other ministries, then they can take down the take down or like shut down the sites. So that's, I think, what we need to start doing it again. Pak Fauzi probably later on can testify to that. And I think we need you guys, like if this is the young, we can IP, hopefully some of you guys will become IP lawyers and we can work with the industry, the creative industry ecosystem. Thank you.
Panil, Pete, thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, the really buff guy at the front. Yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Andes. I'm from Lankara Digital Agency. Currently, we have a digital ecosystem with handle more than 60 social media accounts in Indonesia. Talking about the social media that we handle right now, we also produce like a KOL, like an influencer or content creator. But for the next month, we also wanted to release like an IP specifically for comic strip. And we also really curious about the Punopals journey anyways. With Mas Ardianto and Mbak Ayunda, can you describe for us about the monetization phases that you faced it before? For example, like what happened with the 3 months, with the first 3 months that you launch about your IP, and also if you're talking about the marketing strategy, for example, like booth. But I also curious about the digital marketing strategies. Which area you running for the digital marketing strategy with, and what's the specific strategies? I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so for our strategies, because like we said before, we are very new. We just like in December will be 2 years. That's why we actually more focus right now on our offline, because it gets us more attraction as well as more genuine insight from our customer. And we can monetize it directly. If we are focused more on our online, we cannot actually monetize it directly. That's why we need to like monetize first and get feedback directly from our customer and know what kind of merchandise or what kind of characters that they actually like. And we also share our stories on like how our brand come through, as well as the storyline of the Punopals. That's why it's more genuine, and we can like understand it, the customer base better on the offline side. But currently we just launched few contents online. It's actually the next step to our marketing online. Yeah.
So Punopals is a bit different, I think, than most IPs, I think, because usually when you have an IP, you want your characters to be known and the story to be known first. For example, uh, you watch SpongeBob, you watch the series, you love the character, then you buy the merchandise, you buy the T-shirt, you buy the plushies. Punopals a bit different. I started by making comic strips, but I felt back then it was just too long. I want to see like the people do the reaction of people. I feel like back then comic strip was I didn't have enough attraction yet, not enough awareness. So you know what? I just gonna sell the merchandise immediately based on the characters, and I wanna see will people willing to pay the merchandise and the price that I set. So I immediately start with the bazaars. Start at a very local bazaar. I was doing it at a cafe. There's not a lot of people that want to buy, but I can still meet people and tell the story about the IP. Then after that, I got a portfolio in events, right? I get at least one event that I have been using Punopals as the tenant, and then another event, another event, another event. That's where actually I grow the audience for Punopals. So it's actually more through the offline to the merchandise first before we grow our audience from the storytelling and the character base. But now, because we're in kind of like a position that okay, the merchandise sale is going up, but we need to keep it sustainable. So how we keep it sustainable? We have to make the characters to actually have stories. People need to feel resonate with the characters. So now we're focusing more on digital content, and in the future we're also making a pilot animation also. So this is like the investment that we're going to make for the IP, but at its stance, we don't have any monetization schemes from the digital content, so it's all no revenue at all. So it's all still based on the merchandise we sell, mainly at the bazaars and consignment. But in the future, we're going to be focusing also on online e-commerce and website.
Can I just add just to put more emphasis? So in terms of creative economy, the foundation, the very basic is the IP itself, right? The IP itself can be turned into, the initial product can be anything, right? We have certain subsectors, so it can be one of those subsectors. But you have to know that, for example, one of the biggest IP company in the world is Pokemon, TPC, the Pokemon company. It started from the video games. And then they have a lot of branches into animation, movies, as well as, like comic books and even the cards, right? The Pokemon cards. Now, what Punopals done is they started for probably it can be related to the compared to like Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty started from the merchandise, from purse and everything. I remember, I don't know, probably the girls here knows, like when they small, probably just the Hello Kitties merchandise and everything. So it can be start anything where. It can branch out from the merchandise, can branch out into, I don't know, video games, comic strip, even on the online social media, for example, or the movies and so on. So it has to start from something, as long as in IP.
Thank you very much. I have a very good question here from Instagram by somebody named Farid. Thank you very much for your question, Farid. The question is, what lessons can Indonesia learn from American licensing mechanisms to help local creators expand their work to international markets?
Well, I think you guys did it perfectly on your slides, which was you've already created a licensing offer. You're saying that this content is open for licensing, open for cross-licensing. And one thing I see from brands and from creators around the world is they'll create content, but they won't say it's protected. They won't provide an identifier. They won't provide a way for that content to be licensed. Think about your everyday. Are you trying to go out and commit crimes or steal stuff? Generally, no, I hope. But you want to be a law-abiding citizen. And if you see an opportunity to lawfully license content, and it's easy to do, that's the way you're going to do it. So if you're on the internet surfing around, you see content, and it kind of says, here's the author of the content, here's a link to if you want to license it, you're going to click that link if you actually want to use it, because that's how we normally behave. We want to be lawful, we want to license content. And so when I saw that you already had here's our license sort of contract, here's how we're going to do it, that's one of the best ways to create genuine licensing, is create the opportunity for people to come to you and to find you in a very easy way.
I think we still have time for one more question. Okay. Yeah, sure. Everyone seems very excited for her question.
First of all, I have this specific question to Mr. Pete Mehravari as the Director of Policy and Legal Property of Alliance. So, first of all, my name is Nicole. I am from the Visual Communication Design, especially in New Media, from BINUS at Kemanggisan. So my question is, since you're from America, like the game, the one that is really hits up right now is Roblox. And everyone knows Roblox, that you can actually create anything in the game and you can actually make profit from it. And I've seen a lot also from locals, even internationals, making their games using anyone's creation, such as your example of Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. Like the original Sonic Hedgehog was actually a game to like maybe catch a coin game, or maybe like a very nice pixelated game, just a basic game. They could actually turn it into maybe an RPG game, or maybe like some, I don't know, FPS game. So, but they can make those games without actually getting sued by their company, because Roblox has its motto is that you could dream big and make anything you want. So my question is, do some company actually have their own prepaid license to any companies? Because there's no way even a big company like the Roblox Corporation paid every company to work with them without any legal a legal message or legal collaboration message so that they could actually make their games without getting sued, because there are so many debates in the social media like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whether this game's supposed to be sued or not. And of course, for us locals, we also want to create something so that we can also reach out the international market. But we also need to know, like, will we get sued by them? Because we see many creators outside of Indonesia make the games using outside of the world assets like Sonic, maybe like simple one, Barbie, Hello Kitty, Sanrio, any characters without getting sued. So yeah, I think this will be my question. Thank you.
So I'm gonna start with the end of the question, which was you're looking online and you're seeing games using clearly pirated content not being sued. Yeah, it sucks. They should be being sued. That's part of what we're trying to create globally, and part of what my job is to go around the world and find places where that is not happening. Because when that doesn't happen, again, you look at it and you're like, why should I create new stuff because other people's content is being pirated? Why should I create and invest and create my own content because I see it out there all the time? So part of what I do is I go around the world and say, look, if you want to have a real good creative economy, you have to have an example. You want to set an example that you cannot do that. And it's tough, but there's ways to do that. So when you see it out there, sometimes you're like, okay, I wish they would enforce it. I say that every day. But sometimes you just can't. But to your other point about sort of these collaborative platforms when it comes to create what you want, this is where it comes to the attorneys. Licensing contracts. A lot of times we're seeing more and more innovative ways that the creative gaming platforms, online content creating platforms are starting to have their in-system licensing agreements that have already gotten approval from content owners that they can use that content in those systems to create new content, derivative works based on that. And I think that's a great way we're seeing content owners be able to monetize that content into these other systems. And so for me, the answer is, have you ever read one of those really detailed user contracts for each of these different applications? Yeah? You've actually read all the tiny little details? Usually the answer to your question is in there, because these attorneys over here are going to be paid to put it in there because they don't want you to be sued. And those platforms don't want to be sued either. But we're seeing more and more as these amazing sort of online creative spaces for gaming, for music, for videos want to get more people to making content, but also do it in a safe way. So read the fine prints. If you don't want to, ask them.
I do have
add something maybe.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So this is more of a creative owner or IP owner perspective, yeah, more or less the legal. I think at some point, if your IP or idea is copied in a mass way, you know, we cannot sue everyone. So I think it's a compliment. I mean, those people think that your idea give value to them. So it also helps to make awareness to your IP through other people, even though they are not licensed, you know. But still, you know, if the people that's copying is I think a bigger brand or a more influenced person, I think we need to be firm with that. But I think, for example, if there's in Tanah Abang baju gambar Upin Ipin, you know, that is unlicensed definitely. So, but what can you do, you know, at that level? So, I think that's just my perspective on it. Yeah.
Very interesting, but somewhat differing perspectives here from our panelists. We actually do have time for one more question, it turns out. Up here, yes, ma'am. What question would you like? What question do you have, I should say?
Where is the mic? Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Dewi from Universitas Indonesia. I have two questions, one for Mr. Ardianto, and the second one is for Mr. Mehravari. Okay, for my first question to Mr. Ardianto, previously you show us the value of several international IP. Yeah, can you share us how do you measure your IP, your monetary value? Can you share to us, because in the IP ecosystem, we often hard to measure our IP, right? Even in Indonesia, there are a law that can make IP as collateral for bank for the funding for bank funding, but actually the bankers can give us the collateral, the fund, because they have no sufficient assurance regarding the value of the IP. And maybe Mr. Pete, can you share the experience about the monetary value of IP? Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. For Punopals, I think the value of our IP is based on the assets that we have as the IP, not just the IP itself, but the IP is Punopals, but we sell our merchandise, right? I think that could be part of the value that we have on the IP, and then the investment that we have put in the IP, and also the perceived value that we have from the IP. Now, for Punopals, I think our perceived value, I think, is still very small, but the potential is big because we will put investments on the future projects that can increase the value of the IP. But I think the more concrete value of the IP currently that I have known is the how much financial investment that I have put in the IP and the products that we have currently, the real products that we have based on the IP. I think that's all for us.
So just to add to that a little bit, so this is actually one of my favorite topics. It's using intellectual property rights as collateral to get financing. I mean, oftentimes when companies, especially in today's world where a lot of their property rights are not physical land, not machines, but intellectual property, we're seeing more and more banks recognize those intellectual property assets as collateral that can be used to, again, get business loans, to grow the business and get jobs. In the US, I think right now we actually see more companies have more value in intellectual property assets than physical assets, and that's growing worldwide. One of the problems with this is convincing banks, especially banks that deal with SMEs, startups, entrepreneurs, to have experts in those banks to be able to have that correct valuation. Because if a bank takes a risk on someone that has an idea, that's not great. But if the bank takes a risk on someone that has 4 patents, 8 trademarks, 6 copyrights, some designs, that bank has a little more help to get that money back if something fails. They can take over those assets, try to sell them either as a group or one by one. If people here are looking for the next coolest job in the world that will pay you a lot of money, law, business, and valuation. Because right now there's a big lack of experts who can do the financial part, do the IP part, but also know how to evaluate the value of these IP assets. It's one of the most growing needed jobs out there in order for us to actually be able to do that work of collateralizing intellectual property rights. Great question, because it really is going to be important for the next 10, 20 years of our work. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the questions, and thank you very much to our panelists as well. I'd like to hand this over straight back to Ara for our closing.
Yes, thank you so much, Satya. Can we have another round of applause for today's event? Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I would like to thank our speakers. We had Pete Mehravari, Ardianto Indra Kusuma, Ayunda Kusuma Wardani, and Muhammad Nel El Himam, and also our moderator today, Satya Pramesi, for the very wonderful discussion. And thank you so much, everyone here, for coming to our event today. And I hope that everyone here gained a lot of knowledge and also insights from today's discussion. And if you're interested in attending more events here in At America, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at AT America on Instagram, X, and also Facebook and YouTube, and also our website at www.atamerica.or.id. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our event today. My name is Ara, and see you at the next At America event. Thank you, everyone.